Welcome back to Hoochos. Today on Hoochos, I'm going to do a full harvest on the auto frame fake flow. With this video, I want to answer how much does the auto frame hold? I want to do this in preparation for my upcoming flow hive review. I want to know the capacity of both the auto frame and the flow hive, so we'll do testing on the actual capacity of a genuine flow hive in the future once my flow hive super is completely filled up. In this video, I'm going to use the bulk collection technique to test the volume capacity of the auto frame super in both kilos and liters. So I'm just quickly going to show you the state of how full our hive is. So we are pretty much bursting. I have inspected all these frames and the only one that's not full is the edge of this one. I was hoping that would be full by the time I do this video, and you can see there that we are almost fully capped off. There's only a few bits and pieces in there that aren't capped, but that's absolutely fine. There's not going to be any bees in the actual frame, and I'm pretty happy to call that capped. So we'll have a look on the other side and I'll show you here as well. Fully capped off. So this is 100% ready to be harvested. So that's what we're going to do. So here I have a clear polypropylene food grade bucket so that we can see how much honey we collect from this harvest. Just going to remove the first 3 lots of plugs. So we have the top and the bottom plugs, like so. And we can place in our tubes. Now this is the bulk collection system that I designed for the flow and the auto frame hives so that you don't have to sit here swapping out jars. It's just a 3D print that allows you to drill holes in the top of a bucket lid, and this protects the honey from the bees if they're coming out of the hive and trying to interact with it. These fit over the top of our tubes, and the honey never touches the print. It drops directly from the tubes into the food safe collection bucket. So there's no worrying about whether these are made of food safe plastic, even though the plastic that the print is made of is actually food safe, it's PETG. So now what we do is we crack our frames. I'm just gonna half crack all 3 frames, and then once it starts to collect, I'll crack the rest, and that way it'll just give the frames time to drain. So let's do that. Halfway, which is there. We just do the same with the other, like so, and we'll crack it. And again, halfway, and we'll crack it. And we've already started collecting our honey there. You can see our frames draining down and our honey coming through our 3D prints and collecting at the bottom. And you can see how fast that honey is collecting. That's fantastic. It's really hot here today. It's about 35 degrees Celsius. So it is running fast. And you can see how fast it's running by the bubbles that are coming out as those tubes drain. And we'll just have a look on the side here. And it's hard to see, but there isn't any honey leaking out that side either. And the hive isn't disturbed because, I mean, if it was disturbed, I couldn't really sit here without a bee suit on. So we've got a fair bit of honey already, and we've only half cracked 3 frames, which is kind of nuts. Okay, so I'm gonna crack the second half of the frames and we'll harvest the rest. While that's collecting, I'll just show you the progress on my flow hive. This is the genuine flow. And I know it doesn't look like there's much there, but these frames are almost completely full. It's just this end that is actually waiting to be completely filled up. And that is just crazy. I'll show you some footage I took the other day of me inspecting all of the frames. And it's the craziest thing. They have filled this thing up from left to right, or from front to back, I should say. Might just be a quirk of my flow, Hive, but the only part that isn't full is at the window end. And this is true for pretty much all of my frames. So this hive is, in essence, almost ready for harvest, but on the outside, it does not look that way. Here again, another one, almost completely capped, but this end isn't. And I'm not sure why it is that way. Let me show you another. They're all pretty much the same. Wow, that's so heavy. Almost completely capped, and you can see the consistency of the capping is just lovely, but not at this end. So I'm not sure why they're only working from this end of the hive back, but it is very interesting that that is the case. It's just bizarre, but it looks like it's empty at the front when really it's like, I think it's at like 90% full, and I'm really excited to do a harvest on this. Okay, so we've collected a fair bit of honey off those 3 frames. I reckon this bucket is gonna be the perfect size. So it's looking like 15 liters to me. We've almost finished those 3 frames. I think I might leave it just a little bit longer, but I'm gonna prepare these next 3 frames for extraction. So we reset all of our frames. This is going to allow the bees back into all of the cells. And they can get about cleaning up those cells and filling them back up again. Put our plugs in, and these tubes can come out like so. We can slide our bucket along to the next 3 and plug our tubes in like so, and replace our bottom plugs as well. And we'll just crack our next 3 in the exact same way. And those are all draining down through our matrix and down into our bucket. So that's the first 3 frames. I've just cracked the second 3, and we'll see where it gets to. It's about an inch below the T at the moment. Half of 3 frames went from about there to about there, and now I'm going to crack the next half. All right, so one more frame to go. The way I'm going to do this is we'll just take out our plugs, and we're just going to move all 3 across one, like so. We'll plug up the middle, and we can crack our end frame. And that is absolutely pouring out. How good. And we'll crack the rest as well. All right, so that frame's about done collecting. I'm just going to reset all of these 4 frames. We can remove our tubes, just letting them fall back into our bucket like so, and replace all of our plugs. We can close up the top and put our front back on our window. And we have a look at that. That is a lot of honey. That's about 12 liters. I'll give it a quick weigh. On the human scales, 16.9 kilos of honey. And this is about 600 grams, this bucket. So we're looking at about 16 kilo. Let's just call it 16 kilo with the lid. That That is a lot of honey for a very minimal effort harvest. Now, not to say that you don't have to do all the rest of the beekeeping, but this new harvesting technique for the Flow Hive Supers is absolutely fantastic, and it's really streamlined my ability to both harvest honey and manage swarming, because now this hive has so much work to keep them occupied that I'm really not worried about them having any pressure to swarm in at least the next couple of weeks. So to answer our question, 12 litres and about 16 kilograms of honey come out of the AutoFrame Flow Hive Super. What a fantastic result, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hoochos. Happy beekeeping, and I'll see you next time. On Hoochos.